On January 22, 1973, the United States Supreme Court passed Roe v. Wade, which protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. However, this is not the case anymore. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott signed a bill known as the Heartbeat Act, which prevents a woman from having an abortion 6 weeks after she is pregnant. The law took effect on September 1st, 2021, after the Supreme Court denied a request for emergency relief from Texas abortion providers. On April 14, 2022, Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill that bans most abortions after 15 weeks, making Florida the latest state to restrict abortion access. Continually, just a few days earlier, Oklahoma's Governor Kevin Stitt signed a bill that would make performing an abortion a felony in most cases. On May 3rd, 2022, leaked information that a draft written by Justice Samuel Alito Jr., which has majority approval, would overturn Roe v. Wade completely. This is a war on women. I need you to listen to us women. I need you to feel our anger and concerns. I need you to know how absolutely terrifying it is to slowly see your autonomy slip away from you when it's something so rightfully ours. I need you to know how scary it is to be a woman. I need you to understand that we live in constant fear. Will I get attacked today? Will someone try and touch me inappropriately in this crowded train cart? Will I get raped because of the clothes I am wearing? And now, the fear of, will I have to carry out a pregnancy against my will because of laws made by the government, laws made by men who will never have to worry about becoming pregnant. So please, as you continue to watch, I need you to try and put yourselves in our shoes, and I need you to try and understand how losing Roe will affect every woman that you have in your life.
I'm very worried. I'm outraged. Abortion has been silenced and stigmatized. So the first thing is talk. Don't make it a word we can't use. Second of all, make sure that your local politicians are willing to both talk about abortion, hear the stories of real people and their real experiences, and get behind laws or policies that treat this as something we can deal with humanely and decently.
If you organize, you can change this world. People should now become active with organizations that will play a role in the election.
Keep fighting. This is not over. Just because the court now does this one thing. Women have always figured out ways.
The impact of the Mississippi case would mean that before people even know they're pregnant, they're already denied the freedom to make that decision.
We have a very strong chance that we are going to go back to a time when abortion in some parts of this country is very limited. And if the Supreme Court rules in the Mississippi case to shorten the period in which you can have an abortion legally, I think we're facing a number of years of struggle. The people that pass these laws don't have to live with them, because all of the politicians who vote for restrictions and the Supreme Court justices know that when this happens in their families or to their wives, girlfriends, daughters, they can get to a place that offers abortions.
People with resources will find a way by going to another state, like women before Roe went to Puerto Rico or Sweden, but women without resources will have a hard time. We've all, I think, seen pictures of women who used hangers and died, women who threw themselves down steps and died, who ingested all kinds of things and died. You name it, women have done it. and not always with a happy result.
It's a terrible moment to see your life's work for 50 years being threatened in this way. And it's not a personal threat so much as a threat to the people around me.
It's amazing to me that other countries are becoming more progressive, more open to abortion. In our country, we'll be going in the opposite direction.
We have to keep talking about abortion as a natural part of healthcare for people in this country and around the world. And the more we normalize and make it a routine part of what happens in so many people's lives, the more likely it will be that we have laws that respect people's right to make those decisions for themselves.
We can have a future in which we can build a caring community, but it depends on all of us taking action, organizing, with love at our center.
Where women were forced to have their children against their will, even after they were raped. We refuse to accept a society where women are forced to be baby-making machines. We will only fight for a world where women are full human beings. Yeah. So that's why we are here today. Rise up for abortion rights. Rise up for the women of the world. Rise up for the future of half of humanity that is female.
Starting in September, there will be a ban on abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, regardless of whether the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest. 6 weeks. That's all women get. And so before they realize, most of them don't realize that they're pregnant by 6 weeks. So before they have a chance to decide if they are emotionally, physically, and financially stable enough to carry out a full-term pregnancy, before they have the chance to decide if they can take on the responsibility of bringing another human being into the world, that decision is made for them by a stranger. A decision that will affect the rest of their lives is made by a stranger. I have dreams and hopes and ambitions. Every girl graduating today does. And we have spent our entire lives working towards our future. And without our input and without our consent, our control over that future has been stripped away from us. I am terrified that if my contraceptives fail, I am terrified that if I am raped, then my hopes and aspirations and dreams and efforts for my future will no longer matter. I hope that you can feel how gut-wrenching that is. I hope you can feel how dehumanizing it is to have the autonomy over your own body taken away from you.
Make abortion illegal. It doesn't stop abortion. It just stops safe abortions. Right now, entirely too much of the conversation about women and what we can do with our own bodies is being driven by a group of right-wing male politicians. And they have one end goal: overturning Roe v. Wade and turning back the clock on women's civil rights and human rights.
I would like to speak to America's men for 1 minute. Imagine you do not have authority over your own body for 10 months. Imagine if that decision-making would not be taken away, even if you would die in childbirth, even if you couldn't decide who you were having children with, even if you couldn't decide when you were having that child. I don't think a man in America could actually imagine not having control of his body, his bodily functions, what happens to him, and what life would be like for 10 months. It is an outrage that we have 5 justices on the Supreme Court who lied in their confirmation hearings in order to be confirmed. It is an outrage that in America today, that our judicial system is so corrupted and so politicized and no longer representative of the will of the people. 5 justices said they respect precedents. 5 said that Roe v. Wade was established precedents. 5 said they would never undermine established precedent. It is unconscionable what this decision will do to the American people. I do not think that 50% of America should be told that they have to put their bodies at risk of life or death without their consent. It is barbaric, it is inhumane, it is unacceptable, and I hope every human being in this country understands that when you take away a woman's right to make her decisions about her health and well-being, she is no longer a full citizen. She no longer has freedom. She no longer has bodily autonomy. She no longer has basic civil rights or civil liberties. That is what this decision would do in America today. Make no mistake, equal rights, constitutional rights to privacy, the ability to make your own decisions about your own life and your own death are on the ballot in November. I hope there is no one who's confused about this. It may happen to your daughter, it may happen to your wife, it may happen to your mother, it may happen to your transgender friend. It may happen to anyone, and it is not acceptable. This is a life or death moment, and we need to fight.
Meantime, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is launching an investigation after the leak of a draft opinion on abortion rights. ABC's Alex Perche is in Washington with a look at the latest.
Today, more fallout from that bombshell leak from the Supreme Court. Justice Samuel Alito has canceled an appearance at a judicial conference set to begin today. Alito, the author of that 5-4 draft opinion from February that shows a majority of the justices are poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. And overnight, fencing erected around the court as an additional security measure. Abortion rights demonstrations erupting in front of the court and across the country. This one in downtown Los Angeles Wednesday turning violent. Late today, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announcing the Senate will vote next week to begin debate on protecting abortion as part of federal law.
Republicans will have two choices. They can own the destruction of women's rights, or they can reverse course and work to prevent the damage.
Women of our nation have lived with too much uncertainty for too long. The constitutional right of women to make decisions about their own bodies is not an abstract concept. It saves women's lives.
Immediately and outright. Those Republican leaders who are trying to weaponize the use of the law against women. Will we say, how dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body? How dare they? How dare they try to stop her from determining her own future? How dare they try to deny women their rights and their freedoms? You know, 3 years ago, when I was a United States Senator, I asked a question. Can you think of any laws that give the government power to make decisions about the male body? And the response, you'll recall, was essentially, can't think of any. So when we look at the big picture, those who attack Roe have been clear. They want to ban abortion in every state. They want to bully anyone who seeks or provides reproductive health care.
Their body, their choice. My body, my choice. Their body, their choice. My body, my choice. Their body, their choice. My body, my choice. Their body, their choice.
Abortions are silenced a lot. I feel like I've had an abortion and I talk about it, and I find the more I talk about it, the more people are like, oh, I had one too. 1 in 4 people with uteruses are going to access abortion care. That's a whole lot of us.
I would have never thought that I would be here protesting for what I've learned about when I was in school, like high school. We supposedly live in a free country, but it has not been feeling free for a while.
Women in rural communities don't have access to planes or train tickets or anything like that. They can't travel to New York to get an abortion. They're stuck in Tennessee or in Florida. And so it's really the lower income, labor class communities of color that are impacted. And it's not just about women, it's about all genders.
All people access abortion care. Trans people, black people, white people, all people access abortion care.
A lot of time it comes down to it that having a baby or having a child, it's not even about choice. It's not a safe option for the person involved.
Specifically as a black woman, the black maternal mortality rates in this country are mortifying. They're terrifying. And so when a person like Amy Coney Barrett stands at the Supreme Court and says, well, you can just do adoption, it's like, no, adoption is an alternative to parenting, but not pregnancy. Pregnancy can be dangerous for people, and no one should have to embrace that level of danger without wanting to.
We're not talking about viable babies outside of the womb. We're not talking about women who have a healthy pregnancy in the 3rd trimester. We're talking about Republican lawmakers who go out of their way to pander to evangelical voters by pretending like a group of cells in a woman's body deserves more protection than she does. They pretend like they care about unborn babies' lives. There are children who are on their way here to the United States out of fear for their lives, and you support a president who believes in shooting them if they throw rocks. Okay, you don't care about life. You pretend like you do. You use it as an excuse to control the lives of women in the country. That's what it's really about, okay? Because you have to practice what you preach. The right to life doesn't end at reproductive rights, okay? There are living human beings right now that you and your party consistently go after, okay, fearmonger about, slander, and you don't care about their lives. Time and time again, you guys have...
Because we have reached the culmination of what Republicans have been fighting for, angling for decades now, and we are gonna fight back.
They are not going to get away with this. Let me say that I don't care what I have to do, but they're not going to do this to DC, and they are not going to do this to America. There's more of us than there is of them, and we are going to fight.
It's honestly ridiculous to me because of how far we've come for it to just be set back in time. Like it feels like I jumped in a time machine and went back. You know what I mean?
Well, it's really incredible. I think this is the first time in my lifetime, probably the lifetimes of almost everybody, that the United States Supreme Court is rolling back constitutional rights for people in this country. This is a fundamental, it's the most American of values, right? It's the value of freedom and self-determination and autonomy. And it looks as if the Supreme Court is preparing to roll back those rights when it comes to abortion. It's stunning to read this draft opinion, but I have to say it's not surprising.
I was in this place. I was just elected. And I was faced with the decision whether to have an abortion or not. And I chose to have an abortion. I walked proudly into Planned Parenthood. That I am a woman of faith. I go to church. But my God teaches me all about love and acceptance. And my God teaches me about privacy. And my God says that you've got to make the best decision for your body and your life.
The Republican Party has gaslit us for so long, saying that abortion rights will always be protected, and that we are being over-dramatic for being worried about Roe versus Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey being overturned. And now that it's actually being overturned, I'm pissed.
Republicans are spending all their focus on the leak because they don't want to focus on Roe v. Wade, where they know they're on the wrong side of history and on the wrong side of the American people.
On the Supreme Court! On the Supreme Court! On the Supreme Court! On the Supreme Court! On the Supreme Court!
My name is Olivia Juliana, and
and I work for an organization called Gen Z for Change. I'm also one of the first people to post about taking down the pro-life whistleblower website that led to it being taken down and women keeping their right to abortion. I was 12 years old the first time a man told me he knew more about my body than I did. I was sitting in a hospital bed, doubled over in the most excruciating pain of my life, and the doctor came in the room and told me a cyst had ruptured on my ovary. He also told me the pain wasn't as bad as I was expressing and that all I needed was some Tylenol, a hot bath, and to lose some weight. Fuck him! I stand here, almost 7 years later, once again having men like Greg Abbott make decisions about my body in the name of being pro-life. If the Texas GOP was truly pro-life, they would held all life at an equal value. They would do everything in their power to ensure that every Texan had the resources they needed for a positive and healthy existence, but they don't. How can you be pro-life but force a rape victim to have her rapist baby? How can you be pro-life and force a young girl to become a mother before she can even get her driver's license? You said you would work to eliminate rape, but you haven't done that as Attorney General or as governor. You killed people when you prioritized big oil and your lined pockets over a working energy grid. You killed people when you outlawed COVID-19 restrictions and let Texans die in empty hospital rooms. You killed people by dog whistling to white supremacists and calling Latin Americans a security threat. The failures of this legislator and governor are undeniable, and the need for new representation has never been more striking. As a woman, as a Mexican American, as a young person trying to make change, I am begging Texas to vote him out and replace him with a strong progressive voice. Because no matter how much you claim to be pro-life, Greg Abbott, the blood on your hands says otherwise.
Decades now, and we are gonna fight back. I am angry because of who will pay the price for this. It will not be wealthy women. Wealthy women can get on an airplane. They can fly to another state. They can fly to another country. They can get the protection they need. This will fall on the poorest women in our country. This will fall on the young women who have been abused, who are victims of incest. This will fall on those who have been raped. This will fall on mothers who are already struggling to work 3 jobs to be able to support the children they have. Well, I am here because I am angry, and I am here because the United States Congress can change all of this. Angry, but committed. Understand this. Understand this. I have seen the world where abortion is illegal. And we are not going back. Not ever. No. So say it with me. We are not going back. We are not going back. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Never.
Senator, I don't think I've ever seen you quite that annoyed and angry. I've seen you passionate, but not as much as this. So let me just ask you this. What do you say to the American women who are just as angry as you are about the fact that they are about to lose the autonomy over their own bodies?
So I start with getting centered about what this is about. Understand, well-to-do women, they're going to do fine. Yeah. They get on an airplane, they can fly to another state where it's legal. They can fly out of the country where it's legal. Who is this going to fall on? This is going to fall on the most vulnerable women in our country. This is going to fall on poor women. It's going to fall on women of color. It's going to fall on young girls who have been molested by somebody in their family. This is going to fall on the victims of rape. This is going to fall on mamas who are already working 2 jobs to try to support the children they have. That's who this is going to fall on, and that is what makes me furious and gets me into this fight.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's just wrong.
That's going to work.
In your book, Persists, which I loved, as you know.
Thank you.
I think you predicted the vulnerability of Roe v. Wade, right? And you advocate in your book for codifying abortion rights into law. The Women's Health Protection Act does that. And it's going to be voted on next week. But Democrats don't have the votes. They don't have the 60 votes. What is the plan?
Well, the plan starts by getting everybody on the record. You know, you got to be willing to stand up in public and say which side of this you come out on. And it's both halves. It's making sure that everyone knows where people stand who are in office, and everyone knows where people stand who are running for office. Because if we don't have enough people to get this done right now, then this is the day to get in the fight so that come November, we have enough people in office who will protect the right of a woman to choose.
This opinion is dark, it is incredibly dangerous, and it is not just about a woman's right to choose. It is about much more than that. And I hope people now are fully aware of what we're up against, because the only answer is at the ballot box to elect people who will stand up for every American's rights. And any American who says, look, I'm not a woman, this doesn't affect me, I'm not black, that doesn't affect me, I'm not gay, that doesn't affect me. Once you allow this kind of extreme power to take hold, you have no idea who they will come for next.
How long will the systems of injustice lie and tell us that justice is being served when all they want to do is control?
But I want individuals to know in those red, deep red states that New York is here for you as well. New York will establish a funds for individuals who wanted to come to New York for a procedure. Because New York will always provide access in the state of New York to anyone,
My grandmother died when my mom was 1 year old. She already had 3 kids, and as a poor Irish family, they weren't able to, that's my understanding anyway, they just didn't feel like they could make it and give their other daughters the kind of life that they needed. And so she made the choice. This is my understanding on the death certificate. It says, died by abortion, probably self-induced. If she had access to a safe abortion, my mom would have had a mom. That was in 1918. The fact that our daughters could be facing the same fate is just a tragic setback. And we can't go there, we can't allow that to happen.
Abortion is a human right. We will fight with all our might. Abortion is a human right. We will fight.
I am so sick and tired of old men. Shut the up about our body! Oh my God! My body, my choice! And we need to tell them to shut the up!
Dialogue has got so caught up on where you draw the line that we've gotten away from the fundamental question of who gets to draw the line. And I trust women to draw the line when it's their own life.
I would now like to end on a poem I've written myself. It is titled, Are You Listening? Exhausted, scared, furious. These are the words that come to mind when I think about the direction this country is headed. Are you listening? My body. I didn't choose to be a woman. I didn't choose the body that bears children. Why do you feel the need to control me? Are you listening? It's my body, not theirs. It will never be theirs. They have their own. Why are you so obsessed with the personal choices I make for my own body? Are you listening? I'm angry, so angry. After Roe v. Wade, we were promised the right to our autonomy, something that is so rightfully ours, something that shouldn't even be a part of the government. Are you listening? Why do we still have to fight? It's not fair. There are no laws placed on the male reproductive system. So why place laws on ours? Are you listening? Your mothers, your sisters, your future daughters, do you want them to feel this voiceless? Do you want them to live in constant fear? The fear that The Handmaid's Tale wasn't just a story, it's real life. Are you listening? This is a war on women. This is a war on our lives. They want to control us. We must fight back. Are you listening? Poor women, that is who will suffer at the hands of this. Wealthy women can fly to another state if needed, because you cannot ban abortions. You can only ban safe abortions. Are you listening? The lives of over 100 million women are now on the ballot. Please vote. We need you. We are counting on you. And may we win this battle so that we can tackle our next. Are you listening?